Dokie, okie dokie. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? What is the show? What road? What are we doing? What's going on? Oh my God, there's so many things right now. So, this is a conversation that we're going to have. We're going to have this between you and me on the other side of this camera. And what are we doing as a result of this? We are creating an opportunity for a spirit to embody a talisman. And what do I mean by this? I mean very quite literally, we are going to do an animation of clay. Now, why would I use the cards that I have selected? The world, justice, and the tower, right? The tower is a hospital. The tower is a place of final rest, or it is where you go to be destroyed by God. It is the house of God, right? And justice is my patron. Themis is my ruling force, and we are living in the world. So we are calling on the house of God through my patron, who is the universe. And so we are identifying the universe through these cards. And the divine principles that we are calling on are the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Cups. Now, I always associate swords with fire. And so fire being the blood and the thing that is releasing it, and the air being that which is spirit. And since trees make sylphs, we have that very literally as a direct result of what we're up to. So I am just making sure that this link gets shared before I begin. And so what we get up to in the next few minutes is a meditation. What is it that we get up to that will benefit this spell? Now, what it is we're doing is a direct conjuration of the living principles, right? And so what we're going to do is we are going to take the Grimoire of Arts, and we are going to make sure that everything is working here. And we're going to adjust the camera downward so you can actually see the spell as it's being crafted. All right. So we have the Grimoire. You don't need to see my head. You just need to see that this is a thing of application. So we have the talisman that we made earlier this week, right? And then we have the life principles that we have, the qualities that we're going to bestow upon it have yet to be determined. But we are, in this case, preparing for those things. And so, like I said, I have the tower in the southeast, right? Which is where the gate of the ghosts closes, where the spirit of humanity goes into the other world, right? Through which my patron has entered the world or leaves the world accordingly in the northeast, where that gate closes. So this is why my alignment through into the world, these forces leave or come, depending, right? And so we have our clay talisman, our spell of animation that is in the Grimoire of Arts on page 260. All right, and this will be in the updated version of this will be in the anniversary edition, which I'm writing now, actually. And so we are going to take our piece of charcoal. We're going to light our piece of charcoal. And while this gets set up, I'm going to explain what is actually going on underneath the tarot cards, right? And since we understand that everything occurs through a pathway of energy, what is that pathway of energy? Well, the primary gate below all of this, which I'll show you after I just take everything apart, it is quite literally the gate through which all four forces flow, right? Then there's the array. For those of you that have watched the videos or have participated in the workshops to create your own arrays, this one was made for the candle just before the candle magic workshop. And so the really cool thing about this is that what it is representative of is everything on Earth, right? Inside of it is the powders to open up the pathway between this world and the other world. It's got the calf skin, which is backing it with the outward generating sterling silver foil spiral from the outside coming inward, right? And so everything that I'm talking about now is going to be inside the new version of the Grimoire of Arts. So this, I'm not sure if I'm going to retire it or I'm going to leave it as is and just have the 10-year anniversary version of it along with a volume 2. There is that much content out there, folks. There is an entire series of classes and coursework and all of the things that are being developed specifically to be able to educate the communities on this methodology of creating necromantic totems, funerary works, and using it to develop your own pathways between this world and the other worlds. So that way you're not beholden to any particular deity or what have you. And now one of the things that I am going to do is I'm going to verify that this is not an open gate. North is this direction, south is this direction, west and east. Okay? East to west is what I use as my yes direction. North to south is what I use as my no direction. So, before I go into much more detail, I am going to explain the setup just a little bit further. That is a ruby, okay? Today is the day of Venus, and the stone of Venus, in this case, is a ruby. And so I am using that and the fact that today is a Friday, at least when I'm filming this, to demonstrate that I'm calling upon the Lady of Life, the Maiden of Life, and the Spirit of the Heavenly Life through the house of God, not as a negative form of the tower that everybody associates with it, right? And so the Lady of Life, the world, the anima mundi, the feminine principles, that which receives via the word, to embody the intangible spirit. That is what we are talking about today. This is what we are developing today, so that as we go through and we cultivate this particular methodology, we get to see. And so, are there any spirits here with me now? East to west for no. East to west is yes. North to south is no. Is there anything here in this space? Oh, looks like I've got something. Are you going to help me animate the totem that I have before us? Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate your presence. So, now that the thing is heating up a bit, this is the spell blend that we made today. Remember, this is a removal blend. This is to separate those energies from the physical world and to impart within them the qualities of those things. So that way we have the spell that will protect it and help it stay the course, right? So in this case, we're using today's blend, and then we're going to put yesterday's blend on top of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this here. And then we're going to do this. And so as the smoke rises, I'm going to place the talisman over the top of it. Spirit Lady of Life, remember. Spirit Maiden of Life, remember. Spirit of the Heavenly Life, remember. Hear this powerful summons in the regions of the four, through the rites of the Mistress of the Netherworld. I open the gate so that we may enter from the land of well-being, earth, air, fire, and water. From the house where the wind of life is breathed in, hear the summons. Come into this lifeless mass of clay and bestow upon this clay that which is life. Give this clay the breath of life. Spirit Lady of Life, remember. Spirit Maiden of Life, remember. Spirit of the Heavenly Life, remember. Zininti Kanpa, Zitiamat Kanpa, Zikia Kanpa, Nisme Anu Sepsu Situ, Ina Kibru Erbetim Kanpa. Ina Sabelat Ersetim Kiam Parsusa, Petu Bab Kabala Ruba Anaku, Ina Shurupak, Enlil Enki Gibel, Ina Shiimti, Nisme Anu Sisitu, Alaka Anu Duge, Alme Anu Duge Tait, Nadame Anu Duge Ina Shu, Zininti Kanpa, Zitiamat Kanpa, Ziakia Kanpa. Spirit of clay, receive the breath, receive the spirit, receive the life. Right? And so we take that, and in order to ensure that we have full suffumigation, we can use something like the smoking cloche. Right? Actually, in this case, I'll put the clay directly in here, right on the fire. Hear me, spirit of the world. Come forth, my friend. Will you aid in the way that I require? North to south is yes. North to south is no. East to west is yes. Will you aid as I desire, my friend, as you have come forth from the other world? And so there you have it. Beautiful. The charge of energy when that happened, when the question was asked, was it moved from my feet upwards. And so what's interesting is that the ashes become part of the clay. And then this becomes a full totem that has the qualities of life bestowed upon it through the vital heat that it has been given. May this form the vital breath as I anoint upon thee. And bond this principle into you, that you shall receive a spirit, and the spirit shall come forth, and it shall be of service in all the ways as I require. Come forth, my friend, and walk with me. And so you create the loop. So from what right now is happening is that from the left side of my body up and down my right arm, there's a cycle of energy that's then linking back to my left arm down to my right foot. And so it's creating a cycle, and it's making me feel like I want to rock back and forth. And so by doing this, we have ourselves a baptized in smoke necromantic totem that we made earlier this week that will be proper for the works of necromancy. So something like this then gets packed away in a box, which would be, where is that box? That's not big enough. Well, it'll have to get wrapped in some cloth. I still have to make the cloth and everything for it, but it'll be as a funerary sheet. It will be placed upon the altar with the other spirits that I work with. So that way, what happens is that it becomes a familiar entity. It becomes the means by which a summoning can be enacted from the house of the divine. And what I love about the spirits that I work with, about the spirits that are in this place, is that they are willing to work with me. And so that as we come through and the culmination of this week, we have talked about the application of the necromantic totem. We have gone through aspects of it. And from there, we have gone into the production of a talisman, contemplated the divine mysteries as to what is God and the intangibles, and created the means by which that intangible can become tangible so that it can be an ally in the work to come. And so I'm going to continue this, and it does burn the back of the clay. It does impart to it its virtues. And it does make it quite hot. So be careful you don't burn the piss out of yourselves, my friends, or anything that you would have it on. So as not to risk the safety of my environment, I'm going to let this do its thing. I'm going to let the smell and the smoke and everything propagate in here so that it can actually hopefully bring animation to the other things that are in here, which is also going to facilitate me needing to cleanse that which should not be animated in here, right? So this is a general spell of animation. This is a blanket with the smoke. Let there be a spirit. And so by that spirit, may its course be protected to my will, and so that nothing but my will is brought forth. And so therefore I am protected, and by my protections I am sound, and by that we can end the course of manifestations. So this is the week 10, day 7, and all I had to do was reach over and grab it. And this is end the effects of the flow. So this is an ending spell. So you've got the flows that you create, right? The flow of life that flows within here as an endless river to bless and to consecrate this. Be this so blessed by this holy sacred smoke. Right? And so you can hold it over and you can feel the flow through and down your body. Makes my teeth twitch. And then so to end the process of a spell that's in motion, you put the ending blend. And so that ceases the activity of the flow. It shuts the gate, as it were. And so we'll put the cloche back on it and let that sit for a little bit and just suffumigate the ending of the flow that's within this space. So that stops the active principles from flowing. It shuts the gate down. It stops the cards from being active still. And so we do this. And so this is how you can use the tarot as an intermediary of conjure, right? And so using these as ancestor cards, as these are the divine mothers of pre-creation, right? These are the female forces that bring life or take life or met out justice. And so we have these wonderful attributes of nature and of the principles of nature, right? And so while this continues to do its thing, so I don't cause any other issues, will this fit over the top of that? It will. Look at that. It fits out beautifully. So I'm going to leave you with that, my friends. Stay safe. Don't burn yourself. Don't burn your house down. Don't poison yourself with any of these ingredients. But this is a replication of how these things can come to pass, right? If I wanted to do this to a deeper degree, I would have put this inside of that, and then I would have laid this on top. And then I would have been able to smoke the whole thing without having to let this touch that. So I could actually smoke multiple of these at a time using the spell. Right. And then they can become guardians of the location at different locations, at different places for different purposes. But this methodology does allow for quite a lot of leeway and creation. So with that, my friends, stay safe, And I will see you tomorrow morning for the spell of the day. And for those of you that will join me in that workshop, we have a lot to discuss. I look forward to it. We'll go through and we'll see what I've got cooking. All right, my friends. Thank you all.